The abbey itself seems to shiver with the weight of this hidden truth. The portraits on the walls, the grand staircase, the polished silver, they all belong to a story that may not truly belong to the Crawleys at all. The legacy they have fought to protect has been cracked, and the fracture runs deep. The secret is no longer just a whisper. It is a presence in every room, a shadow that stretches across the abbey's stone floors. And though the family might try to keep it hidden, the truth has a way of finding light. The Crawleys now face a question they cannot escape. If their legacy was built on silence and lies, can it survive the truth? Truth has a way of breaking more than silence. At Downton Abbey, it breaks walls that once seemed unshakable. The revelation of an heir outside the official line is not just a family scandal. It is a storm that sweeps through every corner of the estate. For Robert, it is a wound deeper than any financial loss. His life has been shaped by the duty to preserve the Crawley name, to keep it unsullied by shame. Now he walks the corridors of the abbey, as though the portraits of his ancestors are staring down at him, demanding answers he cannot give. His certainty, once his greatest strength, falters. A man who built his world on tradition finds himself standing on fractured ground. For Mary, the blow is almost unbearable. The son she has guarded, the future she has shaped around him, may no longer hold claim to the estate she has fought to preserve. Every choice she has made, every sacrifice, every battle, feels suddenly uncertain. Mary has always been defiant, unafraid to fight. But now the enemy is not society, not scandal, not even time. The enemy is truth itself, and truth is not a foe she can outwit. Edith, caught between bitterness and compassion, feels the complexity more than anyone. Part of her remembers the sting of being overlooked, the pain of being less valued. If the Crawleys fall from grace, is it not justice at last? And yet she cannot escape the pull of her blood. She knows that whatever comes, she too will bear the weight of the Crawley name, whether it stands proud or crumbles to dust. The staff, once bound by loyalty, begin to question their place. Carson holds his head high, but the rigidity in his face hides fear. If the Crawleys lose their legacy, what becomes of Downton? What becomes of him? Mrs. Hughes, though steadier, knows the truth. The abbey has always depended on illusion, and illusions once shattered cannot be pieced back together. Beyond the family and staff, the estate itself reflects the tension. The gardens seem quieter, the halls colder, the grandeur less certain. Every stone feels heavy with the knowledge that the abbey's strength may not endure. The Crawleys' future, once mapped out with certainty, now feels as fragile as the paper that carried the secret to life. The Crawleys are no longer simply guardians of a legacy. They are prisoners of it. And as the secret spreads its shadow, one question hangs over them all. Will Downton Abbey remain a monument to honor, or will it become a ruin of pride destroyed by truth? Every legacy is a story, carefully told and carefully guarded. But what happens when the story no longer matches the truth? At Downton Abbey, the Crawleys stand at a crossroads where honor collides with reality, and silence can no longer shield them. The halls that once rang with laughter and music now carry an unease that will not fade. Every dinner becomes a performance, every glance a question unspoken. The Crawleys, so polished in public, now wear invisible cracks in private. The secret does not vanish once revealed. It lingers, it twists, it grows. It waits in every shadowed corridor, reminding them that their power was never as secure as they believed. For Robert, the choice is unbearable. Does he bury the truth and preserve the abbey, even if it means living with a lie? Or does he let it rise to the surface, knowing it could strip his family of everything they hold dear? For Mary, the fight is not only for land and titles, but for her son's future. Can she rewrite destiny, or will she be forced to accept a fate she cannot control? Edith, standing on the edge of both triumph and despair, wonders if this is her moment of balance, or her final reminder that Crawley blood is both blessing and curse. And the staff, silent witnesses to every hidden turn, prepare for a future they cannot predict. They have served lords and ladies as though serving the abbey itself. But what happens when the abbey no longer commands the same respect? What becomes of loyalty when the walls it protects begin to crumble? Even the abbey seems to hold its breath. Its windows look out on fading fields, its stones heavy with history. It has survived war, death, and scandal before. But this truth is different. This truth threatens not only the family within, but the very soul of the estate. The question now is not whether the Crawleys can survive the storm, but whether the abbey itself can. Because a house is more than bricks and mortar, it is the echo of the people who walk within it. If their honor shatters, the echo becomes silence. So the future of Downton Abbey hangs on a fragile thread. Will the Crawleys face the truth and rise stronger than before? Or will the secret unravel them until nothing remains but whispers of a legacy once thought eternal? The answer has not yet come, and perhaps it never will. The walls of Downton Abbey have heard countless stories of love, of war, of sacrifice, and of survival. But this secret could be the one that changes everything. The Crawleys stand at the edge of a truth they cannot escape, and the legacy they fought to protect may crumble before their very eyes. But the question remains, what do you believe will happen? Will the Crawleys bury the truth to save their name, or will the secret rise and destroy the family's future forever? Share your thoughts. Do you think the Abbey will endure, or will the Crawley legacy end here, broken by the weight of a single hidden truth? The story is far from over, and sometimes the most powerful endings are the ones still unwritten. What if everything the Crawleys built, every title, every estate, every ounce of respect, was balanced on a single secret? A truth so powerful that if it came to light, it could tear through the walls of Downton Abbey like a storm. For years, the Crawley family has stood tall, their legacy a symbol of tradition and pride. But what if that legacy was never as strong as it seemed? The Crawleys are more than just a family. To the outside world, they are the picture of elegance, wealth, and tradition. Downton Abbey, with its sweeping halls, grand staircases, and endless acres of land, is not just a home. It is a symbol of a dynasty. Every guest who walked through its doors saw more than chandeliers and silver trays. They saw power, heritage, and stability. But behind the beauty of the estate, the Crawleys carry the same fragile fears that haunt any family. At the heart of this world is Lord Robert Crawley, a man whose sense of duty is as heavy as the stone walls that guard his home. His mission has always been clear: to protect the Abbey, to secure its future, and to keep the Crawley name untarnished. For Robert, the legacy of his ancestors is sacred. Every portrait in the gallery, every title passed down through generations, is a reminder that his family must remain untouchable. But history has a way of hiding shadows in the brightest halls. And it is not just Robert who bears this burden. Lady Mary, sharp and ambitious, knows that Downton's survival depends on her as much as her father. She has fought battles of her own, love, loss, and scandal. And each time she rose, she did so with Downton's honor stitched tightly to her heart. To Mary, the Abbey is more than property. It is her son's inheritance, the future she must guard at any cost. But even she cannot prepare for a secret that could rewrite everything she believes is hers. Then there is Edith, so often overlooked. Her story is one of quiet suffering and hard-won triumph. Time and again, she has been silenced by circumstance, yet her strength grows in the shadows. If the truth emerges, Edith may finally see the Crawleys crumble in the way she once felt crushed by them. And perhaps, for the first time, the family might understand the pain of being powerless. All the while, the Abbey's staff serve in silence. They polish silver, light fires, and watch secrets slip through whispers in the night. Carson, the loyal butler, would protect the Crawleys with his last breath. Mrs. Hughes, wise and steady, knows the weight that hidden truths carry. And somewhere in the silence of those servants' quarters, they know a secret has been waiting, buried deep, and if it surfaces, it will not only shake the Crawleys, it will shake everyone who depends on them. Downton Abbey stands proud, But even the strongest stone can crack when pressure builds from within. The question is not whether the secret exists. The question is how long the Crawleys can keep it hidden, and what will happen when it finally comes to light. Whispers do, not echo in grand halls, but they travel far in the silence of Downton Abbey. It begins not with a shout, but with a murmur, an old letter left inside a desk, the edge of its paper yellowed and brittle with time. The handwriting is delicate, almost hesitant, as though the writer knew their words could never be spoken aloud. That letter carries the weight of a truth the Crawleys were never meant to read. The estate itself seems to sense the change. The Abbey, with its watchful windows and endless corridors, hides stories that have slept for decades. A maid dusting, the library might pass her hand over a locked drawer and feel the faint outline of a secret kept too tightly. A footman could overhear a single name whispered in the servants' hall, a name that does not belong to the Crawley family yet clings to it like a shadow. Rumors begin to circle, though no one dares confirm them. Some speak of an heir who may not be rightful, a bloodline that does not match the titles carved into history. Others whisper about debts hidden beneath polished ledgers, or betrayals that never reach the drawing room but linger in the dark corners of memory. Each possibility is dangerous on its own. Together, they form a storm that could sweep away the very foundation of the Crawley name. And yet, the Crawleys remain unaware, or perhaps they pretend to be. Robert still holds his head high, greeting guests as though nothing could disturb his order. Mary continues her sharp smiles, never letting her confidence falter. Edith writes letters, her pen scratching across paper as if to prove her independence. But in the spaces between their words, unease is growing. Something is coming for them, and they cannot stop it. Even the staff, who see everything and say nothing, cannot ignore the shift. Carson's stern face tightens with concern whenever the family's past is mentioned. Mrs. Hughes, with her quiet wisdom, begins to watch the Abbey's hallways, as though she expects the truth to walk through them uninvited. For them, loyalty is tested not by their silence, but by what they choose to protect when secrets rise to the surface. The mystery does not announce itself in one strike. It drips, slowly like water through stone, until cracks begin to show. A missing page in a family record. A sudden letter delivered from abroad. A photograph that should not exist. Each piece is small, almost harmless on its own, but together they tell a story that could shatter the illusion of Downton's perfection. The question is not whether the Crawleys can keep their secret. The question is how much longer they can pretend they don't already know it exists. A secret is never just a secret inside a house like Downton. It is a chain, stretching from the highest room of the Abbey down to the servants' quarters below, pulling everyone tighter with every hidden link. And when this chain begins to rattle, each member of the Crawley family feels its weight differently. For Robert Crawley, the Earl of Grantham, the possibility of scandal strikes at the very core of his being. His life has been dedicated to duty. Duty to Downton, duty to tradition, duty to a name that must never be stained. He walks through the Abbey with the calm of a leader, but beneath his polished shoes, the floors are trembling. To admit that his family may not be as unshakable as he insists is to admit that his entire purpose might collapse. His stern silence becomes his shield, but shields are heavy, and even Robert cannot carry them forever. Lady Mary, sharp as steel and unafraid of battle, would face the storm with her chin raised. But the stakes are not just her pride, they are her son's future. For Mary, everything comes back to inheritance, to bloodlines, to what is owed. If the secret hints that her child's place is not secure, it is not just Downton that stands at risk. It is her heart. Mary has fought too hard, lost too much, to let the ground shift beneath her again. For her, this truth is more than a family matter. It is a war for survival. Edith, forever caught between strength and sorrow, feels the secret in a different way. She knows too well what it means to be cast aside, to be judged by whispers rather than facts. If the Crawley legacy cracks, Edith might see justice in it, a balancing of scales after years of pain. Yet, deep down, she also knows the cost of disgrace, and she cannot escape the fear that history could repeat itself, swallowing her own hard-won happiness. Even beyond the family, the staff sense their lives entwined with this fragile truth. Carson, the butler, lives and breathes the Crawley honor, as though it were his own blood. The idea of scandal shakes him more than illness ever could. For if the Crawleys fall, so too does his entire life's devotion. Mrs. Hughes, with her quiet compassion, sees what others refuse to say aloud. The Abbey may be vast, but secrets shrink its walls until everyone feels the air grow tight. And so each character stands at the edge of something unseen, bound together by the invisible thread of this mystery. The Crawleys believe themselves masters of their fate, but here lies the truth. They are prisoners of it. Because once a secret begins to spread, it does not belong to one person. It belongs to everyone it touches. Secrets do not explode. They creep. They seep into cracks. They wait, patient and silent, until the right moment arrives. And at Downton Abbey, that moment has come. It begins with paper. Old parchment folded so tightly that the edges have turned fragile. Discovered in the back of a drawer no one thought to open. A servant delivers it quietly, expecting nothing more than a misplaced record. But when the seal breaks, the words inside whisper louder than any shout could. It is not just a letter. It is a confession. The ink tells of a child, born outside the golden walls of Downton, yet bound to the Crawley name, an heir not recorded in polished family trees, a life tucked away so carefully it might have been erased altogether. And yet, here it is, alive in ink, undeniable. The Crawleys' carefully preserved bloodline is not pure, not perfect, not what the world has always believed. For Robert, this revelation is unthinkable. His honor, his devotion, his entire existence has been dedicated to protecting the Abbey for the rightful heir. And now, that word, rightful, crumbles beneath him. For Mary, the shock is sharper still. Her son's future, the inheritance she has fought for, could vanish with a single truth told in the wrong room. Edith, meanwhile, feels the air shift. What once made her powerless may now give her strength, though even she cannot decide if she wishes to see her family fall. The staff, too, feel the tremor. Carson stiffens, his world tilted. For him, the Crawleys are not just employers, but a way of life, a tradition worth guarding. But what is loyalty when the foundation you serve rests on a lie? Mrs. Hughes, steady and wise, knows what others do not dare to admit.